Welcome to the musical game of life. The idea for this project was to take Conway's game of life and cellular automata algorithm and map it into music. So, what is the game of life? Pretty much the idea is that you have a grid of a bunch of cells that are either alive or dead based on being filled or not, and the grid changes over time. So if I look at one of the grids and just play Game of Life, you can see that the cells in the grid change over time. It kind of simulates like life is the idea. It goes from one generation to another, one grid to another, using certain rules. And they're pretty simple. Basically, you take a cell and you look at the number of cells around it and you count its neighbors to see if it'll be alive or dead in the next generation. So let's say you have a cell that's alive, and if it has like one neighbor, not too many neighbors, then it'll die the next generation from, I guess, like loneliness or something. Otherwise, if a cell has too many neighbors, it'll die from overcrowding. You'll see that the center cell will die right there. And the cells can also be born if they have 3 neighbors. You can see the cell appeared in the center there, and that's pretty much the gist of it. But the rules are pretty much made to make a bunch of, I guess, like interesting patterns on the grids over time and be kind of unpredictable. So now I want to map it to music, so let's get into the demo here. I'm gonna play it quick. All right, cool. So you can see that the grid, the cell, is turned into music. Pretty much the idea for this was to take each row on the grid and map it to a certain sound. So let me go real quick. Yeah, so you can see that each row has a certain sound for it. And pretty much the program scans through every row in the grid and just plays a sound if there's a live cell in there. You can see it's playing through the generations right now, like so. So in this mode, it just goes through each generation immediately and just plays a note if there's anything in the row. There's also another mode I did where it pretty much scans left to right in the grid and reads each column. And for each column, it plays a note if there is an alive cell in that certain row. And it goes to the next generation after it finishes scanning through the entire grid. And it allows the program allows the user to change between these two modes and then just let them explore and play around with the different ways that they can map the game of life to music. So these are the drums. For the melody, it's a similar idea. Each row is a sound, so I can play it like so. Yeah, and I wanted to make it sound a little good and harmonic, so I kind of made each row map to a note from a chord. You can see over here in the bottom, we have a key giving us a scale, so this is C major, and we have a chord progression to kind of determine what notes the rows will be assigned to. If I play it, it's a C chord, now it's an A chord, an F, then a G. And the user can just play around with different chord progressions. Maybe minor scales. Maybe change the root notes. But that was pretty much the idea. You can also change the instruments. There's a bunch of different options in here for the user to play around with the game of life. In the game of life, there's also a bunch of interesting kind of patterns to it. One of them is like this glider. You can see, based on the rules of the game, it kind of glides across the page. There's a bunch of other cool patterns as well. Some of these patterns here. maybe this one. There's also some pretty cool ones. Let's see. Yeah, you can play around with them. There's a lot of them. You can also increase the speed, slow it down, maybe play with the volumes. Whoa. Yeah, there's a lot you can do. Kind of change the grid, edit it yourself. Just wanted to give the user a lot of freedom for exploration here. But yeah, that is my project, the musical game of life.